So this is Grandpa Joe's take on macaroni and cheese.
Ow!
There are three big parts to it. So there's the pasta, there's the cheese sauce, and then there's all the yummy stuff. So that's how we're going to break up this video into those three different parts. So bacon to start with, which is the most important ingredient. And the only way to do the bacon is in the oven. So I'm going to open this pack of bacon, and you want to have really good lean bacon, good quality. And we're going to bake in the oven at 350. So the amount of bacon that you need to make a really good Big Mac and cheese on this scale is going to be around 3/4 of a pound. But if you're going through the trouble of cooking the bacon, you might as well cook extra because it's so great to have extra around. When you lay it out in the pan, you should have everything on a single layer. But if you can't fit it all on a single layer, it's not that big of a deal. Because when it cooks, it's going to shrink in area. You just have to be prepared that if there's a lot of extra fat, you have to have a way of pouring it off. Cheese sauce. Obviously, it's what brings everything together. So, Campbell's cheddar cheese soup, concentrated, the bomb. That's the place to start. So we're going to pop that open, dump it all into the pan. Nice big saucepan because we're going to spend a lot of time serving. Whoa. All right, so we're just going to get the right out there. And then the instructions for making the cheddar cheese soup is to have the can be the measuring unit for milk that you're going to add to it. So you don't have to worry about getting all the cheddar cheese out. There you go. Because you're obviously going to put a whole bunch of other good stuff in it. But 1 can of milk. And you can see it doesn't mix very well from the beginning, but we're going to take our time heating this up. But while it's here, I just want to show you some different spices. So whatever spice you want to add to this that falls into the savory category is a good idea. So I'm going to add some garlic powder to it because I'm assuming you're making this and don't have a lot of time to do it. So you could saute garlic and add it, that's fine. Cumin, I love it. It's awesome. It's my new pepper. And then of course a little black pepper. And you don't have to add salt for this phase because Campbell's already put a lot of salt into their soup mix. So, and this is only if you want it. I like coriander, so a little fresh ground coriander. And then we're going to heat this together until the cheddar cheese soup melts nicely. Then we're probably going to throw more cheese into it, but let's see how it turns out. So right now this is going to go onto the stovetop. So we'll come back and look at it after the soup mix has melted into the milk. We're going to check in on the bacon right now. It depends on your oven and your pan. So some bacon is going to cook faster than others. So you just want to give it a quick turn in the oven. And you want to assess if you want to pour off some of the fat. I think this batch is going to be fine without, but you can see that this is probably going to be done in another 5 minutes. Whereas some of the other bacon that's in this pan is going to need more time.
How long has this been in the oven?
It's been in the oven for about 15 minutes. So cooking bacon in the oven is definitely not something you can just set the timer and walk away and go watch a show. You have to keep a constant eye on it. But if you do, it comes out so perfectly. And if you say to yourself, I'm going to cook big mac and cheese with bacon, but you still have other bacon left over, then you have all this other good food to eat later on. Alright, so that's all turned over. I'm going to use the fact that some space is opened up here because of the reduction in size. And then I'll move some of my double layer over here. And everything is going to work out just fine. So the bacon isn't all going to be done at the same time. So it's important to have a resting area to pull the bacon off, to let the fat drain off the bacon. And pull the pieces that are done. And in this case, since it's going to wind up going in a casserole, you want it to be pretty crispy so its texture holds up. You don't want it to be kind of floppy because then it's just going to mush into the rest of the casserole. So you're pulling off the pieces that are done, then flipping the bacon that's not done yet, and then back in the oven it goes. So the pasta is done and we want to rinse the pasta, but there is so much really good stuff inside that water that we don't want to lose it. So you might as well just use the pasta water to rinse itself. So I'm using a colander to go across to the next pot. And I'll just let it sit there for a minute because we're trying to cool it down. It's done cooking, so we don't want it to cook anymore. And of course you can see all the steam coming off of it. That's all the process of cooling down. And then we can once again use this water to drain it to help cool it down. But we're not rinsing any goodness away because we're using the same water that it cooked in order to rinse it. And we're doing a 2-layer mac and cheese. So once I rinse it a couple of times, I'm going to take half of this pasta and lay it out in the baking pan. So the cheese sauce has melted nicely. The milk and the Campbell's cheddar cheese soup has blended, but it's time to thicken it up a little bit. So if you have any leftover cheese, it doesn't matter what kind it is, this is a great time to use it. So in it goes into the sauce and it's going to thicken it up nicely. I'm going to put it back on the stove for a couple of minutes just to blend it. Here comes the tender casserole. So we'll take the tent off. You want to be careful and make sure you don't get burned by the steam, but wow, look at that. So much melted goodness. But wait, there's more, because we want to take whatever topping you want. Like you could just use breadcrumbs if you want, but these onions, these fried onions that I got from the salad section of the grocery store look perfect. And then we're going to put these in for another 5 minutes. Look at how much that's going to coat that. Whew. And so we're going to pop this back in the oven for another 5 minutes just to let everything toast up nicely. And then pull out of the oven, let it rest for 5, and then it's time to eat. So now you can see it's got a nice crispy topping. And after coming out of the oven, it needs to really sit for about 5 minutes because all the juices are still moving for a little bit. So you have to give it the opportunity to cool down. But after that, don't hesitate. Enjoy. Come and get it.